I will lay this out in the most basic way I can. My wife and I work from home. She wanted a dog. I said we didn't have enough time to take care of one. She pestered me until I agreed. We took our time and found a rescue that had several pups that met our criteria: small, adult, and requiring just a couple of short walks a day. They did home visits and stuff. It was taking a while. My wife found a farm where Blue Heeler and Border Collie mixed pups worked during that time. She got me one for my birthday. I had one just like her when I lived at home with my parents. She's a beautiful puppy, but not in any way what we agreed on. We live in an apartment with no yard. My parents have an acreage. I'm very busy. I do not have time for all the training and exercise she needs. I thanked my wife, but no thanks. She refused to listen to me. So I just refused to bond with the pup. I didn't even name her. I told my wife I would ensure the pup was fed and got 2 half-hour walks since we agreed on that. Everything else was on her. It took 2 weeks of barking, chewing, and pooping until she rehomed the pup. Now she's mad that I manipulated her into doing what I said we should do to begin with. She said she thought I would love a puppy like my old one. If we had the space and time for her, I would have. I'm angry that I even had to do it. I feel bad for the dog. I'm thinking of not even doing the rescue, now that I know more about how my wife thinks. Am I the idiot for refusing to take any responsibility for my dog until my wife was forced to rehome him? Edit. The pup is at home with my parents. They're training her, and since my dad is retired, he likes having a buddy around. She's happy out there. My wife's just angry that she paid for my parents to get a dog. So she's angry about the money? She doesn't deserve dogs. I'm happy your dad has his little buddy. You are not the idiot. You manipulated her? Pets are a 2 yes, 1 no. She badgered you into giving a yes and then broke your agreement because real life moves slower than her whims. Then she got upset you stuck to what you were willing to agree to instead of yielding to her attempt at emotional manipulation. How old are you and your wife? Because she sounds immature. Please don't get any dog until she's proven she can and will respect your boundaries and your agreed upon terms. Consider marriage counseling. Marriage counseling, cheaper than divorce, better than doghouse. All I had to read was Blue Heeler Border Collie mix and apartment with no backyard to know you are 100% not the idiot. I live and work on a farm. Town people who get working type breeds when they don't have the commitment to put in massive amounts of exercise and stimulation these dogs require are absolute muppets. I'm trying to be nice, OP, as she is your wife, and I know you love her, but she acted like she was 5 years old and not an adult. Anyone with an ounce of common sense would see that this would be a train wreck, except for your wife. Yes, it's sad for the dog, but you're still married to a partner who thinks like this, or rather a partner who does not think. And to top it off, she was and is mad at you about this when it was entirely her doing. There was no reasoning with your wife. She proactively and unilaterally decided to do a dumb, crappy thing to that puppy and deserves 100% of the blame here. I, 27 male, have made my wife, 27, cry constantly over her being willingly unemployed for over 4 months. She left her last job because it was, in her terms, making her stressed. It was a 3-day-a-week, 18-hour job. She earned $600 a week. We have a joint home loan at $370K remaining, and our savings are sinking. I told her I supported her leaving her job under one condition, that she had more work lined up, even if it paid less. Instead, she quit the week after I said it. 3 months have passed, and she still has no job. Bills are coming in constantly, and I've taken up extra shifts to cope. But in all of this, the savings we have are dropping. Last month, I started telling her she needed to find work, and she came up with a different excuse each time. I broke down the home loan repayments and explained how we couldn't afford them if she didn't work, and that we were unable to buy anything other than essentials, and she seemed to understand. After a week, I asked her if she had applied to any jobs, and she said no. I blew up. yelled and told her she was being extremely unfair as I was working overtime and had little free time. In contrast, she doesn't even keep the home in order outside of doing dishes and laundry when I tell her to. This repeats weekly. Today I noticed when she was a bit upset. I asked what was wrong, and she said she wanted me to spend time with her. I have only one day off a week, and I said, I would have more free time if you worked. She said, you don't care about my feelings. You just want me to get a job. I yelled at her for letting me handle all financial responsibility again. She argues that she applied for 6 jobs, but they all asked for ID checks, and she wasn't bothered to do them. I'm furious. I told her, I am not her money pig, and she can get work or we're done. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have to work overtime, which is stressful for you, yet you can't quit. But if she's stressed, she has the option to quit. How is that fair? She's mooching off of you. As much as I hate to give the usual advice about divorce, I can't see any other alternative here. She has the gall to complain about OP spending too much time at work, subsidizing her lifestyle. Cut her loose, OP. She isn't crying because of your actions. She's crying because she's manipulative. She has no intention of getting a job. She's just biding her time until you give up on asking her, or you're married long enough that she can get alimony. Divorce her as quickly as possible. The longer you stay in this, the deeper in the hole you'll be. Get rid of the house and take it as a loss. And don't have intimacy with her. If she believes you will leave her before she can get what she wants, she'll try to trick you into getting her pregnant, so you'll still be tied to her. If she does claim to be pregnant and you haven't touched her, get a DNA test. Good luck. Everyone's the idiot. Yelling at your spouse repeatedly isn't appropriate. Blowing up isn't appropriate. I'm sure you know that. The two of you need to be able to communicate without that happening. If this is a completely new behavior for her, is there a chance mental health is playing a role? For someone to leave one job because of stress, then get visibly upset like this, along with struggling to keep the home tidy, that's the area I would need to explore if my husband began behaving like your wife. Update. We have no kids, no pets, no yard, dishwasher, washing machine, hard floors. It takes me 2 hours on my day off to sort everything out. She can't seem to get it done, or uses, I did laundry today, to excuse why nothing else is done. Also, apparently I'm financially abusive because I don't want her spending money on luxuries while we struggle to make ends meet. Oh, and kids won't happen, as she's refused intimacy for the last 6 months. I respect her decision there, but I am disappointed. Anyway, I've decided we're getting divorced. I'm male 33, have been with my wife 29 for almost 6 years. I have a good job, don't drink or party, am home every single night after work, and don't go out on weekends. I cook dinners, help with the kids, and do absolutely anything I can to make her life easier and happier. Also, I absolutely hate arguing and am extremely passive. She was married once before and has younger children from her previous marriage. When we first met, she would constantly talk about how mean and terrible her ex was in every way, and how she was so incredibly happy to have met someone like me. While she has a lot of insecurities from past trauma, I've made an effort to spend our entire relationship building up her confidence and self-esteem. I constantly tell her how beautiful and great she is, even if she treats me poorly at the moment. Fast forward about 2 years into our relationship, and now she feels much more confident and incredibly beautiful. With that, she's spent the last 3 years on ups and downs of being extremely nice to me, then treating me poorly and telling me that I need to change X, Y, and Z to meet her needs. She asked me to go to therapy, which I'm entirely on board with and support. I went to therapy for a bit, but couldn't afford to keep going due to the cost. I make a solid effort to learn how to talk and handle situations. Still, it's never good enough for her, and she constantly says I'll never meet her needs as a partner. I'm incredibly confused by this because, in the beginning, she was pushing for me to marry her, against my previous thoughts on marriage. Her love feels conditional, and I feel like I'm constantly walking on eggshells, trying to make her happy, even though I don't feel she ever will be. Then a few weeks ago, we got into a pretty heated argument, and she discussed wanting to open our marriage so her needs could be met, since I couldn't do that for her. I explained that I wasn't into this or continuing our relationship, and she would have to explore on her own. She responded by telling me that I was being controlling, something I'm completely against and have never done in any aspect, for not giving her the option to do this within our marriage, since she doesn't know what she wants. That said, I feel I was being supportive in doing what I could to help her be happy in life, with or without me. I don't know how normal it is for a partner to start daily arguments or be unhappy with their partner in the way she feels about me. Am I the odd one out? And am I the idiot for not wanting to be a part of this, especially after all the hurtful things she's said over the years? Dude, it isn't being controlling to say no adultery within marriage. When she pushed you to marry her, she pushed for a relationship that the state and society define as strictly monogamous. She wants out. Permit her the exit she needs. There is no need to discuss it with her. Yeah, she's just trying to manipulate you to appease her conscience. I'm sorry, but your marriage is over. She just wants her ATM machine at home, minding his own business. At the same time, she gets a train run until she stumbles upon a guy who makes more money and is stupid enough to commit to her. Drop this woman. She sees you as a doormat because of your kindness. I wouldn't be surprised if she isn't already cheating. I would take what she said about her ex with a grain of salt. Based on her behavior, I bet she pulled this same crap with him, and he didn't take it. She then labeled him as abusive. She's 29 with 2 small kids and is in her second marriage. I would let her go so she can find another sucker for her third, and probably not her last marriage. She wants her cake and eat it too. Let her go and make sure you get your ducks in order and visit a divorce lawyer before you tell her, so she can't pull a fast one on you. I, 26 female, gave birth to my first child 3 weeks ago, my daughter, and my family are not happy with the name I chose. My parents and siblings had wanted me to name my daughter Agatha or Agnes because those are family names and part of a theme my family keeps, where the oldest girl and the youngest girl pass the initials of their name to their children. Because my name also begins with A, they wanted me to do this as the youngest. My older sister followed the tradition. My mother's oldest and younger sisters did, and my cousins did. But my husband and I didn't want to follow the tradition, and we didn't want a classic name for our baby anyway. We chose the name Indy for our daughter. During my pregnancy, I told my family that I was not using Agatha, Agnes, or an A name for my baby. I told them more than once, in fact. For some reason, they decided Agatha would be the name. When my daughter was born and my family came to visit us at the hospital, I had a C-section and was in the hospital for a few days afterward. They were shocked by the name we chose. They asked me what I was thinking going for a name like that, and then told me I had broken the tradition for some weird name that didn't make sense. My husband asked them to leave the hospital if they couldn't keep their opinions to themselves. They apologized, which I believe was sincere, and they came to our house with gifts. But when I saw the gifts, I noticed some things personalized with the name Agatha on it. When I asked about it, they told me Agatha was a much better name. And indeed, I didn't want my daughter to have a dumb modern name like Indy. My mom told me she could not understand me picking such a hideous name. She said my husband and most of my friends had set bad examples with their names, but I should stick to classics because they're classics for a reason. She told me they would never be able to accept the name Indy in the family. I returned all the gifts to their packaging and returned them to my family before asking them to leave. I told them they didn't get to insult my daughter's name again and push so hard for us to change the name we, as her parents, had decided on. My recovery from surgery has been slow, so my husband was the one to make sure they actually left. But they were upset that I was responding to them like I was. They told me I should have been more honest about the name earlier, and I was punishing them for thinking more of my daughter than my husband and I were. I do feel bad for returning the gifts and kicking them out, and the number of texts they've sent since, telling me they don't like it either. But am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What kind of person buys a personalized baby gift with the wrong name on it? Has anyone in human history ever changed their child's name because grandma bought a blanket? It's not their child. The naming decision comes from you and your husband. They sound like they care more about upholding a naming tradition than the child herself. Very petty. Your mom likes Agatha and Agnes and still has the nerve to accuse you of liking hideous names? You might as well name your newborn Old Crone. The 1800s called. They wanted their names back. It's your kid, your choice. When Indy grows up, if she doesn't like the name you gave her, she can change it legally, as I did. At no point does your family get a say. So my fiance and I thought it would be sweet if we were both walked down the aisle by our parents at our wedding. For her, that's both of her moms, and for me, that's my mom. I lost my dad 11 years ago when I was 14. My mom was thrilled when I asked her and told me she was excited to walk her baby boy down the aisle. The problem occurred when she told her husband that I wanted them to walk me down the aisle, not just her, as I explicitly stated, but she and her husband, who has never been my parental figure and only came into my life as an adult. He was excited about the prospect as well, and he called me up and told me he was glad I was finally letting him step into the role of father figure because he always wanted kids and he was proud to have a son. I had no idea where this came from, so I asked what he meant, and he said the fact that I wanted my mom and him to walk me down the aisle meant I was embracing him as a parent too. I told him I had not asked for both of them. I asked just my mom. He acted like I never spoke. So I called my mom and asked where he got this idea I had asked him, and she told me she hadn't seen it as a big deal because they're married and he's a good man, and surely I'll want him to be a grandpa to my future kids, so including him in this shouldn't be such a big deal. I told her it was a big deal because he's not my parent. If anyone was going to be walking with us, it would be Dad, but he's not here, and because he's not here, I don't want anyone else. I told her she needed to clear things up with her husband, and she said no. She said she would not crush him, and I could man up and allow him the joy of experiencing this with us. I told her I would not walk with the two of them. She told me it was too late to back out now, and what harm it would do. She told me it would crush him to have it taken back. I told her he blatantly ignored me when I had already told him, and she defended it, saying he was excited and wanted to be included. I told her I wouldn't walk with her if she didn't fix this, and she told me I had to walk with her. I already asked, and she already accepted. This is when I told her if that was her stance, I was taking back the offer for her so she could figure out what to tell the man she married. All heck broke loose when I told my mom this, and she told me I was behaving like a child and excluding a good man for no good reason, as well as punishing her for trying to be a good wife. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You offered a sweet gesture, and she completely messed it up. Does she try to override your wishes on many things, or just regarding her husband? Is she going to create a bunch of drama at the wedding now? She wants some guy you've never even lived with, isn't even remotely your parent, to walk you down the aisle at your wedding. That's like picking some random and saying, "Here, have a great honor." That's insane. Yeah, walk by yourself. OP, I think it's more serious than just walking you down the aisle. She's already got him being a granddad to your future kids. Does this also mean she wants him listed as father of the groom in your programs? What other things will he expect now? Especially since your mom seems willing to let him do what he wants. I'm afraid this has opened a door that's going to be tough to close. Your mom is manipulative, way out of line, and disrespectful. Your wedding day is not the time to play happy replacement families. There are lots of good men around, some of whom would probably be guests at your wedding, none of whom will be walking you down the aisle because they're not your parents. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials.